Yesterday, Toronto Mayor Rob Ford watched the high school football team he coaches do battle for a major trophy. They lost, I'm afraid, but hey, it's a good effort. The kids are inner city, often black, many from single-parent homes, most in danger of gang recruitment and subsequent incarceration, frankly, maybe even violent death. Now, Ford has worked for years to help these guys, form them, mold them, give their lives purpose and focus. It's cost him enormous amounts of time and quite a bit of his own money. But sometimes he's gone to others, asked them to donate cash and equipment so as to help young people who really deserve it. And that's what got him into trouble this time, in that he put pressure on wealthy people who wanted things to do something in return and help teenagers in danger. Terrific. But look, of course he should have been more careful, even crafty. Should have been, in fact, more like the left, who spend your money like rainwater, but always find a way to disguise the fact, or are enabled to do so by a mouse-like media that runs into corners and hides every time one of their people gets into any sort of trouble. Left-winger David Miller is a friend of mine. I like David. He was mayor of Toronto when professional and hereditary lefty politician Adrian Heaps spent more than $65,000 of public money, your money, in a legal defence, and Mayor Miller ignored those who thought this unacceptable. Homosexual activist and longtime councillor Kyle Ray, remember him? He spent $12,000 of your money on a private party to celebrate his own bloody retirement from politics. And then he made fun of those who thought it unethical. But Rob Ford manages to get a small amount from private citizens to help black kids in tough neighbourhoods to play football, and is thrown out of office. A $600 an hour lawyer, a $370,000 a year judge, a group of comfortable and obsessive monomaniacs who have hated the man for years, they all join together to kick democracy between the legs. Journalists who either detest Ford's politics or are embarrassed by his apparent lack of class join ranks with the mob, and then they all congratulate themselves on how brave and democratic they are. The stink is like some plague pit, or more pertinently, the decaying trash after a garbage strike. You'll have more of those, by the way. Ask yourselves if any of these pampered clowns have done anything for troubled youngsters, if they even care, if they even know. They claim leftism, but it's really reaction cloaked as progress. They care about gay marriage, arts grants, and their network of rich friends, but the unemployed, the poor, the needy are as foreign to them as a trip to Walmart. Risible and suburban mediocrities. They resent their assumptions of power and privilege being submerged, but they may well get a shock when the people of Toronto who live outside of the core, the real people, vote for Rob Ford once again. The judge, well, I mean, his hands were tied to an extent, but judges love to make waves and change things, and his glitzy social standing increased enormously this week, let me tell you. Punishment should fit crime, and the alleged crime in question was minimal, and while Rob Ford was foolish and proud, very proud after the fact, the incident itself was not a crime at all, really. It all makes Canada look extremely small and petty and cheap. Very, very sad, but very predictable. One last thing. If you know Rob Ford, you'll know that he's not an ideological conservative, but more a populist, an elevated man of the street. Now, it's that, his ordinariness, not his alleged conservatism, that causes the hatred. The snobs, they just cannot stand him. My next guest, she's become a legend now. I mean, my golly, and she's loved and hated in pretty much equal proportions. So in Britain, we always used to say Levy, but here you say Levy, don't you?
No, I say Levy.
You say good, because that's the real pronunciation.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
I think people try to anglicise it.
No, Levy. Well, I'm from Hamilton, and we say Levy in Hamilton.
Why is it that all the most famous Jewish people are from Hamilton?
I don't know.
Steve Paikin and the comedy guys from...
Eugene Levy?
Yeah.
Or Levy?
Yeah.
And Marty Short. They all went to
Jewish.
No, but he's an honorary Jew.
Right, Rob Ford. Now, before we go into Rob Ford, you made a very funny comment today about Olivia Chow, who is not Jack Layton. And Jack had many qualities. And frankly, I know Olivia, I don't see them in her. But you referred to her as Chow Chow because yappy, like a yappy dog.
Yes.
And of course, she immediately screamed, racism!
Yeah, well, you know, the left can dish it out, but they sure can't take it. They're a bunch of thin-skinned, and they have no sense of humor. And, you know, look what Olivia is doing behind the scenes, plotting and what I tried to point out in my article is that there's a leftist cabal of people who have been plotting for a long time, and they were going to find some way to overthrow Rob Ford, whether it be through the courts, whether it be, and they found it.
I think that's the point. That look, it was foolish what he did.
Yes.
He was proud after the fact. He should have been humble and apologised. But that's what Rob Ford is like. What he actually did was to get money from rich people to help poor kids.
Right.
It wasn't really a crime. Punishment should fit the crime. He should have been told, if it was possible, don't do it again. The judge, it wasn't much the judge could do. This law's going to change anyway. But by probably April or so, it'll change. The punishment will be very different. Well,
you know, he is his own worst enemy. But having said that, I have the joy or whatever of having spent 14 years at City Hall and watched every manner of mayor and councillor go through there and, push the limits on the rules, cross the line. David Miller, he never ever got the coverage, of course, by the left-wing media, about the fact that he defied 3 rules by paying out $65,000 in legal fees for a councillor who ran, who was sued when he was running. And, it was against 3 acts, and nobody, the Toronto Party and Doug Holliday had to take the council to court over this. Did you hear much in the media about that?
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's all perception, it's all, and it's perspective. And I think this has been grossly blown out of proportion.
Now, George Smitherman, who got a real kicking in the election, almost 100,000 votes he lost by, and he assumed he would win, he tweeted today, at last accountability comes back to City Hall. This man wasted millions of dollars when he was an MPP and a minister.
There's no end to the arrogance of George Smitherman. I wonder what he thinks when he looks in the mirror, that
how beautiful am I today?
Yeah, how beautiful. And this is the thing, the liberal, because they've been propped up by the lib-left media, they think they can do no wrong. He is absolutely not chastened one bit by Orange, the e-health scandal, and by the Samsung deal. All kinds of things that he was embroiled in.
Now, what happens next? There's talk that Rob Ford's brother, who is, how should we put it, probably, I don't think Rob would object to this, a more sophisticated Ford.
Yes.
The upmarket
more
Ford.
More articulate.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's, we think, had provincial ambitions, but do you think he'll run to be mayor? Because we're now being told that Rob won't be able to run in a by-election.
Well, nobody seems to know for sure. The city solicitor is saying one thing, other legal analysts are saying other things. I don't think we really have a firm idea.
Right.
And don't believe what you read in the Star, because they were already putting their candidates, propping them up. I'm sure Olivia Chow is...
Oh, she's... Did they... Is it true? I don't read the Star. Did they issue a supplement yesterday, a Rob Ford dismissal supplement?
Yeah, Ford falls. And you know what? You want to hear something really interesting that I actually just... in the suburbs, they had one headline today: Ford's planning to run again. And then for the downtown people, they had Ford's plotting to run again. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, scrupulous, it really is.
Yeah.
But I think therein lies the tell, because, our David Menzies was at the Argo Day, and he said that there were 3 people demonstrating against Ford. One was a retired doctor with a clown nose, and 2 women. When Ford got up in front of 6,000 Argo fans, they all cheered.
Yeah.
He still has the people with him.
Well, he is a populist mayor, and he still has, Michael, I have been inundated with emails in the last couple of days and phone calls, and I'm running about 75% in favor of good for you for standing up, telling the truth. And, and Rob Ford, this is just a travesty. I think it is a travesty of justice. It's like, as I said in my column the first day, it's like hitting a flea with a sledgehammer.
I find this quite significant, that the 2 journalists, I think, who've really very fairly and objectively gone to bat for what I think is truth and Rob Ford's position are you and Christy Blatchford.
Yeah.
Both women who have never been frightened of saying, this is what I think of you.
Yeah.
And whereas the guys are also tiptoeing around.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is that I've had the liberty or the luxury or whatever you want to call it of watching him from 2000. And I have a real soft spot for him, I have to say, because, because what you see is what you get. No bullshit. And he's always stood up for the little guy and for the taxpayer. And you know, he hasn't changed. That's the thing.
Yeah. And in this case, for goodness sake, of course he was a fool to do it, but he was taking money from rich people to give to black kids who wanted to play football. Christy said that Clayton Ruby put on this face as though he was really concerned, but could barely hide his erection. I thought that was a wonderful line.
Yes, I was right there. I mean, he put on his sad face. It was terribly.
Please. When you know these people, you know what nonsense it is. I mean, the whole thing, by any means necessary, they were going to get rid of Rob Ford. They despised democracy, and they found a way. It's Rob's problem that he kept opening the door for them.
Yes, and you know, this is the thing. When you're watched and you're under the spotlight and you're under scrutiny, you have to be 3 times as careful. And you know, he's bombastic, and he didn't watch his back as much. And I think he's somewhat naive. He thinks everybody has the standards and the integrity that he has, and that, you know, and these people don't. They don't care. They were plotting to overthrow him.
The most intelligent thing I've ever heard Sid Ryan say, I was quite shocked by it. He said on CFRB yesterday, he said, this could be the worst thing the left have ever done. They could have created a monster here. We'll come back and win the election. You know, Obi-Wan Kenobi, if you kill me, I'll be stronger than you can ever imagine. Let's hope on this one, at least, Sid was right. Great pleasure as always. Thank you, my love.
Thank you. Congratulations on the new dog.
Oh, thank you.